Alrighty, Childe, the Hydro Husbando, or Tartaglia, whatever you call him. He's shady, he's brainy, he's crazy, but he'll make every lady want to make his baby. Anyways, before we start the video, I just want to mention that only a small percentage of you guys are actually subscribed to the channel, so make sure to press that subscribe button because it's free and you can always change your mind. Also, feel free to join our Discord, especially if you're not a Timmy. Alrighty, so story time. So I'm sure you all know the basic characteristics of Childe. He likes fighting, he has a brother, he's cynical as fuck. But I'm sure most of you guys are unaware of his origin story. So Childe, or Tartaglia, isn't actually his real name. It's just a title as he is part of the 11 Fatui Harbingers. His real name is Ajax, and apparently he was frightened and hesitant. A little bit further back, when Childe was 14 years old, he ran away from home with a sword and a bag of bread in hand. He got lost, he was chased by wolves and bears because they totally exist in Genshin Impact. Then he slipped and fell into the bottomless crack and witnessed the endless possibilities of another ancient world, so he fell into the abyss. There he meets a swordswoman named Skirk. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but she taught Childe how to get out of the abyss and also trained him how to fight for 3 months. Later he got out and only 3 days have passed in the present world. So yeah, really trippy happened to Childe, and he had a very exciting childhood. Get it? Because his name is Childe. Moving on to elemental abilities. This time we're going to go over his normal attack talent. Normal attack stance, the low-key flex.
I am the least adept with a bow, and that is precisely why I must master it.
Everything about this is normal, except for the Riptide effect, but in this video, we're gonna call this the Squirt effect, cause it's funnier that way. Laugh! When Childe hits an enemy with a fully charged arrow, he will apply the Squirt effect. Now, if you attack an enemy affected by Squirt with another fully charged arrow, Squirt Flash will occur, dealing 3 consecutive AoE hydro damage. When you defeat an enemy with a Squirt effect, it will burst and spray Squirt effects to nearby enemies. Elemental skill, Water Blades. Childe throws away his bow and unleashes a set of weaponry made out of pure water, dealing hydro damage to nearby enemies and entering into melee stance. So it's basically like Hu Tao's butterfly mode and Xiao's Poe stick mode, but more simplistic since this skill has its own auto attack percentage separate from his bow stance. Now his melee stance also has a unique Squirt effect. Laugh! When Childe melee attacks an enemy affected by Squirt, Squirt Slash will occur, a slash that deals AoE hydro damage. This can only occur every 1.5 seconds per enemy.
That rascal from Snezhnaya has yet to depart from Liyue? No matter. Just let me know if he gives you any trouble. I shall deal with the matter swiftly.
Elemental Burst, Hydro Nuke. There's 2 versions for this burst, depending on your current stance. While you're in the bow stance, Childe will shoot an arrow, dealing AoE hydro damage, while also applying squirt effects to the enemy. The bow stance burst will also return a portion of its energy after use. When you're in the melee stance, you will slash in a large AoE, dealing massive hydro damage to all surrounding opponents, which deals more damage than the bow stance burst. This burst will also trigger another squirt effect called Squirt Blast. Laugh! When your burst slash hits an enemy, the squirt effect will clear and will trigger a hydro explosion that deals AoE hydro damage. Pretty simple.
A warrior must always be ready to face any challenge with his blade. The outcome of the battle is irrelevant. What matters is that you learn from the experience. My pet peeves? Well, to be honest, I'm far too busy journeying with you and slaying powerful enemies to dwell on such trifling matters. Food is like weaponry. A true warrior never deliberates unduly over their choice of weapon, nor do they do so over the food they eat. Neither should you.
Moving on to his passive talents. Passive 1, Squirt Effect duration is extended by another 8 seconds. Passive 2, more Squirt Effect. When you crit during your melee stance, you will apply a Squirt Effect to the enemy. Passive 3, wow, an actual very useful Passive 3. Increases your own party member's normal attack level by 1. Moving on to Constellations. Constellation 1 decreases the melee stance cooldown by 20%. Constellation 2, defeating an enemy with Squirt will regenerate 4 elemental energy. Constellation 3, Water Blades gets stronger. Constellation 4, holy sh**, that's long, but in short, you trigger those squirt effects without having to attack the enemy, but they need to be applied with the squirt beforehand. Constellation 5, Water Nuke gets stronger. Constellation 6, your melee burst will now reset the cooldown of your water blades, but you need to go back to your bow stance. Noice. Cool. Totally not a whale character. Get it? Because his Constellation's a whale. Alright, so floor 12, like, look at this, like, Childe, you know, cryo units, just freeze everything, just constant freeze and just consistent damage over and over again. Like, look, he's such a safe DPS to use, right? Like, he's so easy to use, and he's really not that expensive. Moving on to artifacts, like any other DPS, attack for sands, hydro damage bonus for goblet, crit or crit damage for circlet. However, there are some people who prefer crit rate over crit damage because they like to focus on the auto attack damage and consistency. But if you just like doing big damage with your burst, then crit damage is probably the way to go. For substats, the same order will apply. However, I would like to mention that getting some elemental mastery for your substats will be a great idea to increase your reaction damage, notably vaporize. Moving on to piece sets. For beginners, I would probably recommend you to go for 2-piece Berserker and 2-piece Martial Arts. You can even go with the 2-piece Braveheart or the 4-piece Braveheart. The 4-piece Braveheart is actually really good. For endgame, most people use 4-piece Hydro Piece sets for a Childe to increase damage with his auto attack, but before this Hydro Piece set arrived, people used to use the 2-piece Noblesse to nuke. And honestly, now it's better since we can technically use the 2-piece Hydro and the 2-piece Noblesse. So pick between the two and you'll probably do fine. Storytime 2. So after Childe came back from the Abyss, this 14-year-old kid was driven to fight. He liked fighting, so his dad was like, "Oh, you bad boy, I'm sending you to military school called Fatui, have fun." And that's how he joined the Fatui, but even then, he was strong enough to clap their ass. And unlike his father's wishes, fighting was just coming to Childe, and he enjoyed it. He beat the of all of them, and boom, he became the youngest Fatui Harbinger, Childe, or Tartaglia, whatever you call him. Now for weapons, starting with 5 stars, Elegy Bow, sure, maybe, probably will use something else though. Amos Bow, sure, maybe, the ability is actually not that bad on this bow. You do get a further attack boost on your normal attack and charge attack, but it says you have to shoot, so I don't know if melee auto attacks counts as firing. Someone can let me know in the comment section below. I don't have this bow. Skyward Harp, probably the best choice for Childe. This bow seems to be real popular for basically every archers, and this bow is currently featured in the weapons banner. So good luck. Hope you get this bow because it's pretty good, giving you crit rate and crit damage at the same time. Moving on to 4 stars, Favonius Bow. This is probably not the best choice. This isn't really a DPS bow, but it's a pretty good choice for energy recharge. Windbloom Event Bow. Maybe? I mean, Elemental Mastery is always good, probably good for reaction teams. The attack boost is also probably going to help you with damage as well. And I keep saying probably because I have no idea if this weapon is great or not, but I do think there are better options available. This new bow thing, Alley Hunter, it's horrible for Childe, please don't use it. Black Cliff, amazing 4-star choice, more damage, pretty great ability. Can't really go wrong with this, but you need 24 glitters, so have fun with that. Battle Pass Bow, pretty great choice too. It does give you higher crit rate than Skyward Harp, but the base attack stat is technically lower. The ability is okay, I guess, but I would probably use the Black Cliff Bow over this one. And also, you need to swipe your card for this, so yeah. Royal Bow, no, this weapon is basically the Timmy of all weapons. Please do not buy this. Rust, pretty darn good choice for Childe, especially for auto attack. There is also the 10% damage decrease for charge shot, but who cares, this will always stay the same no matter what the refinement rank is. The unfortunate part about this bow, I guess, is that you need to get it from the gacha. Stringless, this is mainly for nuking, but I guess it's great for reactions. I would probably use this over Windbloom, but then again, Windbloom is free, and this is not. Now for free-to-play weapons, Compound Bow, not a good choice for Childe, because physical damage for Childe is just like trying to put fire with oil, and that will not help you. Prototype, I mean, it's better than Compound, but the ability is pretty useless for Childe, so I guess do whatever you want. Fun fact, did you guys know that Lumine is actually 15 years old? Just saying. Teams, Childe's a DPS. He can vaporize, electrocharge, or freeze, and honestly all these options are great, but I guess it depends on your elemental mastery, but still great. His weakness though, I would say, is his cooldown, so it's probably a good idea to have sub DPS in the team. Personally, my Childe has absolutely 0 elemental mastery, so I try to use vaporize or freeze. My favorite support for him is probably Diona, since her shield reduces the stamina consumption by 10%, so Childe can kind of spam charge attacks for pretty good damage. Her AoE also allows Childe to just auto-attack constantly and freeze the enemy at the same time. Fischl and Beidou works great for Electrocharge, Kaya's Q and Ganyu's Q works great for constant cryo, Xiangling and Xinyan works great for applying constant pyro, and of course, Sucrose and Bennett is always available for nuke. The Geo units will also work great with Childe since most of them are supportive, except for Ningguang. So, how the f do you play Childe? Well, you see, Childe's Water Blade cooldown is ridiculously long. The cooldown also changes depending on how long you have the melee stance active, so you have two options. Either bring a sub DPS like I said before, or try to get used to his bow stance, but I'll give you some tips on how you should use him. Number 1, your bow stance is important too. I personally tend to forget that Childe's bow stance can apply squirt effects, and also that his charge aim shots can deal decent damage, so try to get used to his bow stance. Number 2, just bring a secondary DPS. If you're playing on mobile and you absolutely despise aim mode, then don't worry. I play on PC and I still hate it. Just bring a secondary DPS, they will help you. Notably someone like Beidou, Chongyun, or even Rosaria that came out with the Childe banner. Whatever does good damage, bring them with Childe because trust me, Abyss is chaotic and you probably don't keep track of your cooldowns. Number 3, remember the squirt effects. They're a pretty big part of Childe's mechanics, so make sure you remember all 4. I'll sum up each one. Squirt Flash, you charge through someone with squirt, then get squirted 3 times. Squirt Burst, you kill someone with squirt, they explode and squirt over nearby enemies. Squirt Slash, you hit someone with water blades, they get slashed with hydro damage. Squirt Blast, you hit someone with water nuke slash, they get a hydro explosion. Still don't remember? Don't worry, I barely give a shit about this too. Moving on to the Mad movie.
A shadow racing towards the light. I pray to see you one more time.
So yeah, Childe is cool. His cooldown is not. Whatever, bye.